Hello again. This time I'm going to teach you a very important feature or drawback, depends on how you look at it, of SPARQL 1.1. Going back to our data set of individuals, you've seen this before, I'm sure, in one of our previous videos. You know, the individuals, their names, first name, last name, and email, first name, last name, email, so on and so forth, and then the course details, course ID, title, and that's the title of these courses, and then of these individuals who is doing which course. Yes, if you look at this query here, we mentioned before that these are sort of like conditions, and there's an almost like a sort of logical and between them. We saw this in some previous examples, but what I'm sure you remember this. I mean, I played about with number 70. Let me just do a bit of undos. Um, you have seen this before, I believe. Yeah, it's just I think the original one was last name before first name, but you've seen that there's almost a logical and between these, and these two are this is a query and this is a query. But if you notice here, there's actually an overlap between the two. If I just save this and run it against uh, that data set, it gives us, you know, first name, last name, and who was doing which course. Now there's an overlap because the course here is the same variable that is used here. Well, what if I actually use a different variable? Let me just say, call this, for example, course A, and this call it course B. So these are two different variables now. If I save that and run it, I get a different data set. Why is that? This is because these two queries, now this one and this one, are independent queries now. Yes, there's no overlap at all between them, and what happens is SPARQL will execute the first one. Let's say if the first one gives us back, let's say, you know, first name and last name and who's doing a course, let's say it gives us back three results or four results, four triples. For the four triples, they will be repeated as many times as there are any triples coming out of this query, i.e., if that returns 3, for example, and this returns 4, then we will have 12, 3 times 4, 12 triples in our result set. Yeah, the result of this will be repeated as many times as we have, as many times as the number of triples that we get back from this query. And if there's a third one, then it would be, for example, the third one brings back five records of five triples, then it will be 3 times 4 times 5. That's the number of results that we will have, the numbers of triples. And if you can see here in the first one, just Craig Ellis, and then he's doing this course, and then here we have a repetition now. Craig is repeated for all the course names, because here I'm listing the course names. Yeah, here I'm listing the course names. Remember that these are two different variables now. I'm actually asking for the course name. Likewise for Cindy, it'll be repeated 8 times because Cindy is doing two courses. I'm saying here who is doing which course, so who's taking a course, because Cindy is taking two courses. If you go back here, you notice Cindy, she's doing 50, course 59 and course 34. Cindy 9771. She's doing this course and this course, so her name will be repeated twice with the 4 times of the course names. I hope this makes sense. So 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, that's 20. So 4 times 5 uh, is 20. And then Richard again is doing two courses, that's why he is repeated. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 coming back from this query, and 4 coming back from this query. 4 times 5 is 20. I hope this makes sense. These are two separate queries. Now if I take them back to the original state, you know, i.e. having the overlap or using the variable course, now run it again and I'll get only 5 results. I wanted you to notice this because I was going to teach you, or now I'm going to teach you about what is known as subqueries, uh, which is a feature of SPARQL 1.1. I like to call them nested queries. You don't have to agree with the name, but the proper name possibly is subqueries, and this is called the subquery feature of SPARQL 1.1. And what it helps us do is it helps us break down complex queries and on long queries, break them down into smaller queries, and then combine their results. So sort of if you have complex queries, then we can just break it down into more manageable or easily manageable parts, and then we can combine the result sets, the results coming from each of these subqueries, from each of these smaller queries. We can combine them in one result set. Now again, if you have a look at this, I'm trying to here just list all the last names of individuals and the course names that I have. And as you know from the dataset, we have three individuals, so I'm going to have Mott, Marshall, and Ellis as the last name. But for course names, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So we will have 12 uh, uh, triples in our result set. Why? Because these two queries are completely independent. If we just save that, make sure it's saved. They are independent because you notice that there's no overlap using the variable names. Yeah, there's no variable here which is actually reused here. If we run that, that's 137. I've changed the original one, 137, and I'll go back to that in a minute. I just want to demonstrate this issue of repetition, or if multiplying things together. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 4, 4, 4. That's 12. Because as we said, we'll get 3 out of this and 4 out of this, so that's 12. Now, this is very similar, or this is how the idea of subqueries work, and the syntax is like this. I'll just remove this. This is the original example from the book, and it's just the example is just there to demonstrate the idea of subqueries, even if the answer doesn't make sense. And subqueries are like this. Inside our global sort of select query, we have subqueries which should be inside their own curly braces. Yes, and then we have another full select statement with its variable names, with its where clause and its conditions inside it. So that's one. Remember, it must be inside its own curly braces. And these ones again, the second one again is inside its own curly braces, and it's fully structured select statement in its own right. So remember, just a few minutes ago, what I did is actually I removed everything and I just kept this and this, and now I'm structuring them as proper subqueries. If I run that again, I will get the same result as this. Save and run, and I will get the same result as that because these are two independent queries. I just want to demonstrate how subqueries work. You may think that this actually looks like the union keyword. Yes, and the union keyword is different because uh, let me just convert this into a union sort of keyword example. So I have two queries and then union, and then I'm going to run it in a second. Okay, now if you remember, for the union keyword, when we explained it before, we said that it combines the results of two separate queries. Yes, so the union keyword looks at these two queries as two separate I'm sorry, not keyword, as two separate queries. Remember, the union keyword looks at these as two separate queries, whereas using subqueries, it will just combine the results of everything as we saw before. So the union keyword will give us the result of this as independent query combined with the result of this as two separate queries. I'm sorry, as two separate queries. Yeah, as if there's even if there's no overlap, no problem. It'll give us their results as two separate queries. It's different than the idea of the subquery as you're going to see. So let's just execute this and see what happens. Sorry. Yep. So you see, this is the result of the first query, and this is the result of the second query. In the first query, I'm listing last names. In the second query, I'm listing only course names, and it's just combining the results of these two separate queries. Whereas if we go back now, do a bit of undos, and go back to the subquery, this is how it was. notice that it's seeing these as one large complex query even if there's no overlap, although with the lack of overlap, as we mentioned before, we will have this idea of repetition, repeating the results. If there is overlap, however, then we should try and get maybe some nice results if we just add something here, maybe for example regarding the course name, um, or anything like that, just to reuse something. Let's say for example use maybe the shortcut, and then say a b is taking course, and we'll say course. We'll just copy and paste this so we make it happen quicker. It's taking course, and then we'll end that, and then here we are using the same variable course. Let's have a look at the result and see what happens. We get even more results. Do you know why? This is because the results of these now, this query on its own now will be more, because we have people doing different courses, and that will be actually I believe 5. If we have a look here, yeah, we have 5, and then times 4, it will be 20. So we have these 5 people doing courses, which courses, and then times the list of courses, which is 20. I hope that makes sense. I hope it's not confusing, just to demonstrate the idea of the subqueries, that it looks at them as is one big query, but just split together, and I'm sorry, split into smaller queries, which are more easy, or easily managed than a large and complex query. Thank you very much for watching. I know this can be a little confusing, but with practice and with time, hopefully you will get the idea of the subqueries. Thank you very much.